Happy Halloween, duelists! First deck I've got for you tonight for the double feature for the spooktober, much like any Fright Night movie festival. The first one is actually going to be a viewer request, and the request was, can I make a deck and use Hate Buster in it? Well, I'm going to give you guys the list, and you guys can tell me how I did. So, the list is going to start off with 3 copies of Battle Fader. We're going to utilize 2 copies Berlineth, the Firestorm Vassal, 3 copies Caius, the Mega Monarch, 3 copies Caius, the Shadow Monarch, 3 copies of the new Fiend, or maybe just reprinted Fiend, Jurigato. We're going to have this single copy Ryza, and 3 copies Vanity's Fiend for our monsters. Going over to the spells, we're going to be using 3 Brain Controls, 1 Called by the Grave, 2 Domains of the True Monarchs, 1 Monster Reborn, 2 copies Pantheism of the Monarchs, 3 copies Pot of Duality, 2 copies Tenacity of the Monarchs, and 3 copies The Monarchs Storm Forth. Going over to the traps, we're going to use our 3 copies of Hate Buster and 2 copies of the Monarch Erupt. Now, due to the way that this deck is played, no extra deck, guys, no extra deck. So if you guys were just here for that, you guys have a good one. Check out the other video if you haven't already. The Witchcrafters were released today as well on my channel, and that's pretty exciting. If you guys like these, always consider hitting the sub button, but you don't have to. That's your choice. For those of you who want to know more about how this deck works, stick around. We're going to get that right now. So, Battle Fader's here for the classic stun effect. Opponent declares a direct attack, special summon this, end their battle phase. When it leaves the field, banish it. Very easy. Berlineth is going to help us set up some of our tribute summons here. You can discard 1 card, special summon this from your hand, and like most vassals and monarch spell traps, he's going to require that you can't use or can't have an extra deck at that point. And you can special summon him. If this is tributed for a tribute summon, you can look at the opponent's hand, banish 1 card from their hand until the end phase, and you can use each effect once per turn. Now, that can help you getting around like a hand trap, but you're pretty dedicated into already having summoned the other monster at that point, so I'm not sure if Valor could still like respond if Valor was the card targeted. But it can also stop your opponent if they haven't had an appropriate super polymerization target yet. It could stop that before you continue your plays. So, Berlineth, not a terrible vassal. That's why I chose for him. We got 3 Caius the Mega Monarch, and this is going to be easier to play once you're using Domain. You can tribute this by tributing a tribute summoned monster. If this card is tribute summoned, target 1 card on the field, banish it, and if you do, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. Then, if that card was a dark monster card, banish all cards with that name from the opponent's hand, main deck, extra deck, and their graveyard. Because most of the time we're going to be banishing the opponent's cards, what's the point of banishing all of ours? If this card is tribute summoned by tributing a dark monster, add the additional effect of choosing 2 targets instead. So, this guy's going to be like extremely easy for us to play. Between Brain Control and Stormforth, we can use one of our opponent's monsters. With the Domain, we are actually able to lower his star level from an 8 to a 6. That's just going to make it so it requires a single tribute. So we don't even need his text about using a tribute summoned card. Whichever, he's awesome, we're going to run him. Then there's the original Caius. When this card is tribute summoned, remove from play 1 card on the field, and if it was a dark monster card, inflict 1,000 to the opponent. Obviously, Mega Monarch, bit of an upgrade off the regular Monarch. That's just the way they go. He's awesome, dark, fiend, that's what we need. Now, Jurgato's actually kind of cool, and when it comes to activating Hate Buster, can do it even if you've already, failed to set up a monster on your own turn, or for whatever reason you didn't have a card on your side of the field at your turn. So during the battle step, as a quick effect, you can summon this card from the hand, and if you do, you get 1,000 life points. And you can only use the next effect once per turn. Quick effect, you can tribute this card, then target 1 face-up monster you control, give it 1,000 attack points until the end of the next turn. That's all cool and well. Most of the time, if I've already set the Hate Buster, I can generally pass turn. I might be sitting on a Battle Fader, which will actually knock my opponent out of their battle phase. But if you use Jurigato, set them up in defense, most people will still bite and attack. You're going to get the extra 1,000 life points for having used its effect. And at the same time, it's going to be a Fiend face up. And if not, if it sticks around, then you have your tribute anyway. So, very cool character. Rise is in here because she is, whatever it is. This is my second favorite Monarch. Now, I know Thestalos gets a lot of love in this position right now, especially due to controlling the hand. But I like sealing any card from the field back to the top of my opponent's deck. Maybe it's something they couldn't exactly, would be inopportune to top deck. Or, again, it could be an extra deck monster, and that's just as good as telling them to try it again. So, in here, just so I have an extra Monarch, that'll give me 7 cards with Monarch stats for utilizing the rest of the Monarch engine in here. So, awesome. And Vanity's Fiend is just awesome. Just, you know, you can't special summon it, but once it's on the field, nobody can special summon. And, again, like goes in match, Rivalry of the Warlords, and there can be only one. These are effects that stop your opponent really from like getting extra types or different types of cards, or playing a deck that's just solidarily one creature typing. Vanity's Fiend is actually going to stop effects like Super Polymerization and, of course, Kaiju cards, because the way that that type of ruling works, it says you cannot special summon monsters. So while he's on the field, even if he would be tributed or sent as part of it, you're still not allowed to attempt because he exists. And that makes him a very strong play, and I'm sure his price is actually going to go up here a little bit. And that's why we want to run 3 of him. Again, he's not exactly searchable or usable with the 1200 defense stat. And it's the only thing that really cripples him as a card, but look, they had to make it fair somehow. Brain Control, 3. Simply put, I don't see anybody paying life points if they don't have to anymore. And I remember a time point in this game where, like, you know, paying 800 points and being able to beat your opponent with their own monster was a good thing. And considering you have Link, Sync, Overlay, all of that, I don't understand why Brain Control isn't in use, especially in a deck where I want a tribute. And of course, I'd pick up something that's not a tribute monster, but anytime I contribute my opponent's cards to get my own cards, especially if that's the Mega Monarch, I mean, it seems a no-brainer that I would be able to utilize their cards in more than one way, and more than just using Stormforth. So Brain Control, definitely a 3 for me. And the only downside here is it does have to be a face-up monster. I know Mind Control doesn't allow you to attack with it or tribute it, and we get away with that with the Synchro, the Tune, the Xyz Overlay, and of course the Link Summoning. But Brain Control, in my opinion, is just a little superior because I can just attack you for game. And I've done that multiple times. It's just fun, and it's satisfying, and it's in here. Called by the Grave, of course, the one-of, because we got to deal with hand traps. That's fine. Domain of the True Monarchs, one of the biggest reasons we're not using an extra deck here. So while you have no cards in your extra deck, and you're the only player that controls a tribute summoned monster, the opponent may not special summon monsters from their extra deck. Now, this becomes irrelevant if Vanity's Fiend is already on the field, except Vanity's Fiend actually helps this by just reinforcing it. Additionally, if a tribute summon monster I control attacks an opponent's monster, including Vanity's Fiend, it gains 800 attack during the damage calculation only. Which means all the Monarch level characters are actually punching at about 3200 when they're going after a monster, which is pretty awesome. And of course, the best effect, once per turn you can reduce the level of a monster with 2800 attack and 1000 defense in the hand by 2, which again is going to make that Caius the Mega Monarch, and I can never just grab straight to him. But it's going to make him a single tribute card, and then it doesn't matter if the tribute fodder was tribute summoned. So again, Domain of the True Monarch's very good. I'm trying to keep it budget. I know these aren't that expensive, but as a side engine to get the whole thing together, I thought 2-ofs were more effective this time. So the One Monster Reborn, Don't even need to waste time on that. Pantheism. Send a monarch spell trap from the hand to the graveyard. Draw 2 cards. You can banish this from the graveyard. Reveal 3 monarch spell traps from the deck. Opponent chooses one to give you to your hand. You shuffle the rest back into your deck. You can only use that second effect once per turn. Not bad. I'd had to put a little bit of draw power in here. Again, since we're doing a lot of tribute summons, and I think our only special summon is actually Berlineth, because obviously we're not going to Battle Fate on our own turn. And like I could special summon Jurgato during my own battle phase, because it just says battle step. It doesn't say opponents. So, I mean, you could always get the surprise attack with him. That's fine, but for the most part, we're going to be tribute summoning our cards. So, Pot of Duality gets us that Excavate 3. So, I'll pick up the top 3 cards of your deck, show them off. You get to choose one, add to your hand, shuffle the rest back to your deck. You can activate one of these per turn. You can't special summon during the turn that you activate the card. So, we're going to get a nice dig 3, and that's sometimes more important than a draw 2. We're going to have the Tenacity, and this is why we needed monsters of the Monarch strengths, because it's going to count the defense, so Vanity's Fiend gets excluded from this. Reveal a monster that's either Monarch or Mega Monarch stat. Add a Monarch spell trap from deck to hand except Tenacity, and you can only activate 1 Tenacity per turn. And again, since I have 2 of these, I don't feel the need for Terraforming. That gets us straight to our field spell. It gets us to the Pantheism if we want to actually draw some cards. It could give us the Monarch Stormforth, which is another card that we need to talk about. And this is great because it's quick play. You could set it. I'm not using Escalation, so I don't have the timing to play during my opponent's turn, but whatever. So again, once during this turn, if you would tribute summon a monster or monsters for a tribute summon, you can tribute 1 monster your opponent controls as if you controlled it, and you can activate 1 of these per turn. During the turn you activate this, you can't summon monsters from the extra deck. No worries, didn't bring one. So, between the brain controls, which are going to help you actually attack your opponent, this is just going to help let you get their monsters and go at them with the Monarchs. So, the Hate Busters here, gotta love the dual terminal. This card, I think, was just released as maybe a common and a silver name, and then this dual terminal look. Activate when a face-up fiend monster you control is selected as an attack target. Select the opponent's attacking monster and your attack target monster. Destroy both. Then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of their destroyed attacking monster. Now, I get why this was fun, and I tried a few builds before I settled on this one, and one of them did include cards like Lava Golem and Magic Cylinder, because it was just like, just get wrecked and take massive amounts of damage. And of course I was like, Lava Golem's a great like double kaiju, but there were plenty of games where I got bricked with too many cards. 3 Hate Busters to 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, so I got 15 targets in my deck for the Hate Buster now. And when I was trying to play with Kaiju, Radion, and Lava Golem, I never got the appropriate amount of timing because I was trying to do too many things at once, and that's not how you do this. So, this is like a nice little fun tech. I'm not sure that I would hype this up as being anything that's going to start breaking large tables, but this will definitely surprise your friends and maybe get you a nod or 2 at your locals. And the other thing that you got to worry about is that wording original attack, because one of the decks that we did play test against was Skull Servants, and King of Skull Servants' original attack happens to be 0. So even though you get to destroy that big zombie that's swinging at like 5,000-6,000 attack points, you're not actually doing any damage to your opponent for real. So yeah, it helped break a couple of boards. It's cool as a little splash in here. But I really just played like another Monarch deck is really all I did. Last card in the deck, Monarchs Erupt. It's like your skill drain. Activate if you have no cards in the extra deck. You control a tribute summon monster. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field while they are face-up on the field, except tribute summon monsters. And during the end phase, if you control no tribute summon monsters, this card gets sent from the field to the graveyard. So, pretty good. This deck wasn't terrible. Again, it felt like a stun Monarch more than it did a Hate Buster. But I'm going to go around calling this thing like the Emperor's Cannon because of it. you know, because monarchs. Thanks for watching. I do hope that you guys enjoyed it, and if you haven't already, go check out the Witchcrafter deck, because it's actually pretty fun too. So I will see you guys next month in November. I'll probably be making a box opening tomorrow. Not a real box, just one of those Walmart things. So see you then.